Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the SPAC meeting for Thursday, March the 6th. Our chair and vice chair are not present with us today, so there's no objections. We're going to have Keith chair the meeting today. Are there any objections? Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let me just go through the roadmap here. The Environmental and Sustainability Policy Advisory Committee meeting is now called to order. Roll call has been taken by the clerk. Okay. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest for any of the items listed on the agenda? Seeing any? There are no presentations on the agenda today. And there are 5 items for consideration on the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to place all the items on the floor for discussion? Okay,
Councillor Sullivan and Taylor, thank you.
thank you. The first item is 4.1, 2025 Green ER Awards Promotional Campaign. The financial impact, 2025-58. I'll now ask staff now to give a brief overview of this report.
Thank you, Chair. Rebecca Shepanowski, Climate Change Officer. So this report goes over the Green ER Awards, which SPAC has been annually promoting and being presented at Council ever since 2013. Some of the different award categories include Lifetime Achievement, Green Nonprofit in Brantford, Green Business, Greenest Family, Environmental Volunteer, and Young Environmental Champion Award. The nominations are accepted all year round, and then the committee discusses the nominations usually in April, and then the awards are presented to the winners at the City Council meeting at the end of April, near Earth Day. So for the promotion of this year, what we were thinking of doing is posting on social media, the different channels, Facebook, Twitter or X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we could use both static and video posts. We could also have a media release to announce the different award categories and the nomination deadline. And then we can also post information on the City of Brantford website. As well, to help promote the awards, SPAC members are encouraged to share and interact with the city's social media posts and spread the word to your colleagues, friends, and family, and also to post on social media. If there's any questions about the media campaign, I would be happy to answer them now.
I'd like to see it removed from X, please.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Oh, we have a couple of
Oh,
hands
sorry.
up here. Taylor and Councillor Sullivan.
I don't know who had their hand up first, but
Taylor, go ahead.
Taylor?
I just want to know if we know what the nomination deadline date is.
The deadline for the posts, I believe, would be, let's pull the calendar. The hope is for the nominations to be discussed at the next SPAC meeting on April 17th. So then the deadline would be the week before.
Okay, thank you.
You tell.
Who speaks?
Yeah, go ahead.
Counselor, would you like to go next?
Yeah, mine's just, I know we mentioned not posting it on X, but I think in light of Tuesday's council meeting, I think we should be avoiding any American-based social media products.
Don't know his name.
It's David.
Oh, David?
Hello. I just wanted to ask about the media release portion. of I assume that would be like published on the city website. I was wondering if it's possible, given that there's a number of youth awards on there that people aren't necessarily, youth aren't checking the website, if it's worthwhile sending the media release to the school boards in town, just to so that they're aware of that in case there's any students that might want to apply.
We'll make note of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
That's carried.
Then it's here, thank you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is 4.2, 2025 community engagement and events. Has no financial impact. 2025-57. And I will now ask staff to give a brief overview of the report.
Thank you, Chair. So as everyone is well aware of SPAC's mandate, one of the items is to promote and undertake educational outreach and other activities related to environment and sustainability. Over the years, SPAC has completed several environmental and sustainability public engagement activities, which has really helped to educate and raise awareness amongst the community. Most notably, in June of 2023, SPAC used a portion of their budget to purchase promotional materials that can be used at city events. Some of these materials included tablecloths, retractable banners, t-shirts for SPAC members to wear at events to look like a team. We've also purchased lanyards, pencils, and stickers that all have the Brantford Climate Action logo on it. As well, in March of 2023, SPAC also finalized the environmental and sustainability educational videos that are now posted on the city's social media pages. And then in June of 2023 as well, there were a number of events that SPAC could and go to help with promotional materials as well. But this past December, at the last SPAC meeting, members voiced that they were interested in participating in events this year as well. So this report outlines a number of events that members could volunteer at. Some of the larger events that the city hosts include Wheels on the Pavement, which takes place at the end of May, Canada Day on July 1st, the Mayor's Welcome Barbecue Week in early September, Scare the Square in October, and then New Year's Eve in December. So the committee is encouraged to set up a booth alongside city staff to then either provide educational pamphlets, branded merchandise, any kind of giveaways, and just education to the community. And then the process for going about setting up a booth would include coordinating with the city's communication and community engagement department, as well as the Parks and Recreation Community team, to align just on objectives and messaging and to coordinate the application process. So to go about doing that, it is recommended that members reach out to the staff liaison, who can then coordinate on the committee's behalf. And then to ensure an ongoing process for annual participation, staff are recommending to pick maybe 1 or 2 events that do happen every year for members of SPAC as well as staff to attend. And we'll have maybe 2 to 3 members of SPAC attend each of the events just to avoid quorum, since SPAC is a member of our committee of council. But if there are any questions or suggestions, I would be happy to take them now.
Okay, any discussion?
What does this committee or what does staff do for schools? Do you go to schools and put on talks and explain things to younger children about saving the environment, sustainability?
Through the chair, we have not done so yet, but we are working on a community engagement strategy at the moment, which we will then hopefully go into schools to provide education and awareness on climate initiatives taking place in the city, as well as get their feedback for what they would like to see done throughout the city in terms of climate action.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, if not,
So through the chair, staff are looking for the committee to choose one or two events that they would like to attend out of the list.
okay,
We can pick the members at a different time, but I think at this time, staff are looking to have one or two events
okay,
for the committee to attend to, so.
okay, is it Deborah?
David or Taylor?
Oh, Taylor, sorry.
Curious, are you guys able to provide a little bit more information on what the Mayor's Welcome Week barbecue is and how it's executed? I'm just not familiar with that event. I'm familiar with the rest of them.
Through the chair, that event, the mayor usually puts on for Laurier University, Conestoga College, and the Six Nations Polytechnic
Oh,
schools. So yeah, so all the students come in and the city usually has booths set up and students can come and interact and learn more about the city's initiatives.
Can I pitch that we add that to the list? I think that would be a good one to be able to potentially target students or you know, folks who maybe have just arrived in Brantford and are maybe planning to stay for a couple years.
David?
Yeah, thank you. In terms of the events, it'd be great to hear from Eric with the Laurier connection as well about that welcome barbecue. Love to hear if you have any thoughts on it. One that I did see on the list was the Canada Day event, and I just maybe would suggest not doing that one. Just given that I know the green team in town tends to do an event, and that's kind of one of their marquee events in the area. So just to avoid any stepping on any toes, or just just to spread out a little bit more. So I would maybe suggest not if we're gonna be deciding on one. One that I thought might be good was the first one, the Wheels on Pavement, to target maybe a younger audience, and some green initiatives that youth can do in their own homes.
Okay, Counselor?
Yeah, just quickly, I know David's hard on this one, but unfortunately, Wheels on the Pavement is also another green team initiative. So we'll be stepping on their toes there as well.
I can speak to Green Team.
Taylor, did you wanna?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I just didn't want to interrupt. Green Team at these events is specifically doing waste management. We're not typically doing education or recruitment of any sort. There would be no stepping on toes at all, and I actually think that the work would complement each other really well. So I think we can remove that barrier for some of these events because we're actually at all of them except for the Mayor's Week. And we're not there New Year's Eve either, but I wouldn't say that that would be an issue.
And what is
Eric.
this? And Eric?
Thanks, everybody. I guess from the Laurier side, the question I had was more from the SPAC support. From my representation on the committee, I'm actually representing quite a bit of teammates within the institution for internal support for capacity. Is there a flexibility to enlist some of these volunteers from our resources that we have capacity-wise from that team backing me up to be able to attend these events to volunteer for them?
The chair, I believe so, but I would then have to double check with our events team, but I don't think it should be a problem.
Okay, any other discussion on the events?
Have we come to
Have we come to some agreement on the events that we're going to attend? If I can ask Rebecca, how many events were you thinking we should be attending? Is there a certain number or
I think it might be good to start off with two.
two? Okay,
Maybe.
Do you want me to go through and do
yeah,
a
if you
vote
could
on each item?
be, sure.
Okay, so we'll do a vote on Wheels on the Pavement.
Can you give a time when they are as well?
Oh, yeah, the first one is the end of May. Wheels on the Pavement is the end of May. Is anyone in favor of that one?
Okay,
David.
you know what, I am too.
Okay, so we have two.
That is good.
How about July 1st, Canada Day?
Oh,
And the Mayor's Welcome Back Barbecue. Got 4 for that one. Scare in the Square is early October. And New Year's Eve. So that leaves us with 4 votes for the Mayor's Welcome Week and 3 for Scare in the Square.
okay. Any question or discussion on that? Councilor Sullivan, sorry, didn't see the hand.
Yeah, I didn't put my hand up for anything because unfortunately, most of these events, Counselor Samuel and myself will be there in other capacities. So we don't really get to help with these types of events.
We weren't asking for help, we were asking which events we should attend. I think your vote, I think your opinion should matter, so I think you should vote on the 2 that you'd like to see us, or not you, but other people
The
attend.
committee attend, yeah.
Yeah,
So are we all in favor of the Mayor's Welcome Week and Scare in the Square? And then at a later date, we will choose
We'll
members.
Choose additional, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take the vote.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Carries.
Okay. Okay, so the next item is 4.3, the 2025 SPAC budget. There's no financial impact, so 2025-93. I'll now ask the staff to give a brief overview of the report.
Thank you, Chair. So since 2020, SPAC has received an annual budget of $5,000. And the committee has used the budget for various environmental initiatives. In 2023, the committee used about $3,000 to purchase a free tree giveaway for residents to plant trees within their yards. And then the other $2,000 was used for purchasing promotional materials. And then in 2024, all $5,000 of the budget was used towards hosting a free tree giveaway again in the fall, which was very widely successful amongst residents. I believe the trees sold out very, very quickly. So that is a very popular event amongst residents. For this year, staff have recommended a few different options that SPAC could consider for using their budget. One option is to again host a fall free tree giveaway and use all the 5,000s that would purchase about 380 trees for residents. Another option would be to purchase trees to plant a mini forest. Just in November of 2023, the city did plant their first mini forest in partnership with the Homedale Neighborhood Association. And it's a very cool thing, in my opinion. It's a very condensed forest that features all native Ontario tree and shrub species, and there's no maintenance at all. It's its own little ecosystem. And if SPAC were to do this initiative, there would also be a plaque presented in front of the forest noting SPAC's contribution. Another idea that SPAC could do is use their budget to help promote the Green ER Awards. we could then use the funds to put ads in the newspaper, in Be Seen. We could do YouTube ads, digital billboards, anything like that. That typically costs anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. Another option that SPAC could do is purchasing additional Brantford Climate Action giveaways and promotional materials to use at events and public outreach. However, we do still have the items that were purchased from 2023, so it's recommended to use up those items first before purchasing new items. And then the last potential recommendation for the budget would be to assist the city with community outreach and engagement for updating the Brantford Climate Change Action Plan. We're hoping to use community centers and set up rooms and storyboards to help explain like what the city has done so far for climate action, and have it be a way for residents to provide feedback for what else they would like to see in terms of Brantford's climate action plan. So now I would be happy to take other suggestions, and if there's any questions, I can answer them now.
Okay, Taylor?
Just a quick question, and I know we talked about this last time we talked about budget too. I did hear through the grapevine that the next micro tree planting has already been funded. Do you guys have any idea, like, if they actually need the funds in order to move ahead with the project? Because I love the idea of more microforests, but I also understood that had already been funded through another venture.
So through the chair, yes, there is one that is planned, but since these forests are very small and take up very little room, we can definitely plant another mini forest somewhere else in the city at another park.
Okay, thank you. I would love to see us put a portion of the funds towards either tree efforts. I know having the additional tree giveaway was a really great plus the last 2 years with forestry, doing the giveaway in the fall. And then also it might be nice to see a small portion of the budget actually go towards promoting the Green ER Awards, especially with just talking about maybe distributing some information to the school boards. So those would be my suggestions.
Okay, Counselor?
Well, this will be the third year in a row I'm making this suggestion, is that I'm fully in favor of the trees, especially without the shortfall on our tree canopy. We know more development is coming, so we've got to combat that in the process. However, one of my key points is that I know we can just plant trees, but I'm more concerned with planting native endangered trees. So it doesn't do us any good to throw up a bunch of oak trees if we know the oak trees are not having a problem. Let's look at some of the ones, like let's bring back the elm tree now that the the disease is gone. Let's start reintroducing native trees back to our area.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
We have to decide what we're gonna do.
Yeah, okay. So,
So I think through the chair, what we have on the table is, help me Taylor, more trees. Money towards marketing and for the Green ER Awards. Did you have another one? I'm sorry. No, and then Councillor Sullivan's endangered species.
So what we could do is, I believe Taylor wanted a mini forest, so we can put funds towards a mini forest at a city park, and we can specify to our forestry team to use local native endangered tree species.
So are we just doing the one initiative? All 5,000 is to that?
My vote is yes for just the one.
you got a couple hands up. Taylor, would you like to go?
Do we know what the microforests have cost in the past and how they've been funded in the past? I know there's been partnerships with the Tree Coalition, but like I would suggest maybe 1,000 towards Green ER marketing, and then the remainder to potentially a microforest focusing on the native and endangered species. But if these forests cost, 15, then that's a bit of a different story. So I'm just, if you guys know roughly what they end up rounding out to be.
Through the chair, I believe the one at Homedale did cost around $5,000.
Okay.
Anywhere from either 3 to 5, depending on how many tree species that we do put within the forest. So we could go a bit on the more smaller side and then have a portion of the budget used for promotion.
Okay, I see a hand up. Is that
David.
David?
I was just wondering if the Green ER Award, some of the promotional materials, we're hoping to kind of dovetail with our events that we're planning to do this year. Like some of that funding, it would be kind of promotional material that we could hand out at the Scare in the Square, for instance, right? I just don't want to kind of forget that we're going to want to have something to hand out at these events. So yeah, I would support if we're using some of that promotional material that Taylor was talking about, like 1,000 or so towards promotional material, recognizing we have a little bit already previously purchased. I think that seems reasonable. And then allocating the rest to that initiative, the forests, the microforest. Sounds reasonable.
Any other suggestions or discussion on that? Okay, is that Eric?
Yes, thank you. I guess just the question for staff is if you are doing a microforest, what's the proximity to locations that you've already identified? And then in microforest campaigns that we've done at our Waterloo campus, I actually have found that you can actually entice more volunteers to show up if you actually give away trees for them to take home. So there could be an option to kind of do both because they plant a tree for the park effort, for the microforest effort, and then they can take a tree home as an option. So as a question to that, I'd like to understand if the budget could have external matching from industry or from constituents that want to contribute to a matching effort. I wasn't sure if that's a process that's permitted within the SPAC program.
Guggen maybe wants to come in and answer that question. She's more familiar with the budget process.
Thanks, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. Guggen Batra, Manager of Business Support and Sustainability. So I'm having internet issues, so bear with me, Eric. I only caught the tail end of your question. We did try and do a program at the city earlier. It wasn't through SPAC, but it was kind of a matching program, which we would be open to doing again, but we would have to double check our, I'm not sure, Kristen, if you know if there's any rules around budgets for committees and if we can open that up for partnerships with others. We might have to take that back and then provide a response. But definitely I think it's something to explore.
Okay, Counselor?
I would actually like to make a recommendation that we add into the report and that this be forwarded to council seeking additional funds so that we can put more into the promotional, more into the trees, and then more into the giveaway. So instead of having a $5,000 cap, we asked them for $10,000 this year. And I'll pre-discuss with my colleagues before it gets there.
Just to clarify, Counselor, just for this year then, for 2025 or for years going forward as well?
For this year, for this particular initiative, and then we'll address next year as it arises.
Gotcha. Okay.
Chair, do you want a formal amendment for that?
Do we do an amendment on that then?
Well, we can just add it into, we've left it open here that the SPAC members, or, yeah.
Yeah,
located
so
in the
if
budget.
we
We'll
want to
add
put
it
a
into
formal
there. then.
amendment, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
thank you.
So Kristen, sorry, if I can, just to clarify, then it's the recommendation's going to read that 1,000 be used for the Green ER awards, 4,000 go towards the microforest, and then an amendment with the clause C saying that this be forwarded to City Council to look at increasing the budget by another $5,000, right? Okay.
Yes.
Basically, in a nutshell, what I'm thinking is we have the 1,000 to 1,500 for the promotional, and the remainder be used up between the microforest and the giveaway as a combined event.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, do we need to, yeah, there's no more discussion, so let's take a vote. All those in favor?
And that carried.
That carries. Okay, the next item is 4.4, the Home Energy Savings Guide. There's no financial impact, 2025-56. And I'll now ask staff to give a brief overview of the report.
Thank you, Chair. So this initiative, the Home Energy Savings Guide, is part of the Community Climate Change Action Plan. And it's just hopefully a guide that homeowners can have on hand to help reduce their energy consumption at home, as well as then their greenhouse gas emissions, to then help reach our target of being net zero by 2050. So the idea with this guide is just to have a comprehensive list of energy efficient measures, tools, and information that will help homeowners. It could be split between measures that are more no to low cost items, and then also list some items that are more larger retrofits that will have a bigger impact. And then the guide would then be broken down into different energy saving categories. So we would have a category for like heating and cooling, and that would have measures such as like adjusting space temperatures, having thermostats, weather stripping, things like that. A category for water heating measures, a category for home appliances, both what to do with your appliances, like turning things off or adjusting temperatures and things like that, as well as purchasing like Energy Star appliances. Same with the category for home lighting, a category for building envelope, and then different clean energy options as well. So using more renewable energy, and then also a section for renters and what they can do to help reduce energy within their spaces and save on their utility bills. And then lastly, just listing some funding options. And then this would go kind of hand in hand with another project that staff are working on. The city has partnered with Clean Air Partnership to complete a home energy retrofit feasibility study that will look at how the city could go about developing this type of program for homeowners and to help fund this kind of initiative. So this home energy savings guide would kind of come first to help homeowners in the meantime implement measures within their home to reduce their energy consumption. So we did provide a few options for what the city could kind of tailor their guide to look like, and we would appreciate getting some feedback from SPAC members on what should be included within this guide.
Okay. Any discussion on the topic, Taylor?
I love this. I think this is really great. I know we talked about it at the last SPAC meeting, so it's kind of cool to see a little bit more information on it. You also, in the report, there's examples that were provided of other municipalities that are doing similar things. And I'm just curious, like these guides typically tend to look the exact same and deliver the exact same information. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be any research done into any like newer pieces of information that people may not be aware of, or any like local details that are specific to Brantford. I'm trying to think of an example right now, but I can't. But I'm just wondering what's going to make this guide different from all the other guides that exist out there, and if there's going to be research done into newer initiatives and newer options for things like heat pumps and such, that maybe are not in some of the guides that exist right now.
through the chair, yeah, we will definitely be doing some research and tailoring this guide more to Brantford and looking into more newer initiatives that homeowners could do.
Okay, Eric?
Thank you. The question I had is actually more of a comment related to what Taylor just mentioned. Is similarly, our institution is looking at creating a student guide for renters. Most of them aren't homeowners, but you have a good constituent base of students from both Conestoga and Laurier downtown. A lot of them are renting. And so there is a pocket guide that was created by Western University that I can relay to staff as a reference link. They are converting their pocket guide both as a downloadable PDF, a printed one that is folded into 9 square, and one that's going to be converted into a QR code, which goes back to that PDF. So you can create it in different formats depending on the person, because not everybody wants to take a piece of paper home. But I looked at the London Hydro one. My mother lives in London. That is like 30 pages, right? And so you're looking at a contrast of reference, and same amount of information captured on the Western Pocket Guide is 1 page with a map on the back side of it, and it captures everything that's in the London Hydro one in the same city. So just condensing that reference for easy use, assuming people can look up things. Not everybody accessibility wise is going to be able to look up all of the things that you want, so a more detailed reference maybe digitally could actually be the option you consider. A smaller paper one would actually save on resources and your capacity to build one.
David?
Thank you. Yeah, I really like this initiative too. I was looking through some of the examples and thought there's some really great things for residents to look at and to think about. A couple of the things that stood out, I think you were looking for things to include. I really like the seasonal checklist in the London Hydro one, and I thought those could be pulled out pretty easily, like something like that, to share at the appropriate season with residents later on. There was definitely there's one section, there was a list of possible headings. I didn't see transportation listed in our in the one that was circulated, so maybe that's a section that we would want to include. I think it was in maybe the London Hydro or the County of Huron one, but worth including anyway. County of Huron included a case study. I'm sure there's city examples of, where some of these items were incorporated into the design of a building, and we saw some savings. So I think that's always nice to see that these things can make a difference. So that's great. But yeah, I really like this idea. So thank you.
Any other discussion on this topic? Do we need to vote on this or?
I think that
Or is
between us, we can get together the comments from committee. What I have written down is, and this is not final wording, but tailor towards Brantford, use a condensed or digital format, seasonal checklist, transportation to be included, possible use of case study information. So does that capture what we're kind of talking about here? Okay.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, our last item for consideration is 4.5, the invasive species management plan. There's no financial impact, 2025-55. I'll now ask staff to give a brief overview of this report.
Thank you, Chair. So the city of Brantford is starting to experience an increasing number of both invasive plant and insect species. Previously, the city has had an invasive species program that primarily focused on addressing the emerald ash borer. But that funding for that program ended in 2022. So what we are hoping to do now is just create an overall management plan that will first, identify the types of species that are within the city and where they are and their spread and kind of map that out. And from there, we would then develop this management plan, using best management practices, from various different sources to then develop early detection and rapid response to new invasive species that are coming into the city. And then we would also outline management of those invasive species that are already established, to control those that are already here and then eradicate them and control them. And then the next step within that would be to redevelop the native plant species as well. And then, of course, the prevention of new species coming in to then again protect our local biodiversity and reduce the impacts of the invasive species that we've seen. So staff have applied for grant funding to help with this project to the Invasive Species Action Fund. And basically with that, we're still waiting to hear, but regardless, we will hopefully be developing this plan with our parks team. And what we are looking for right now is just feedback from SPAC on if there's anything else that should be included within this plan in terms of targeting and managing invasive species within the city.
Okay. Any discussion, input? Okay, Taylor, it looks like you're first up.
I don't even know if this is possible just because of the corporate versus community, but obviously we live on the river, so that's a big part of the issue, but also residential actions in their yards and the things that they're purchasing, unfortunately, from local businesses are also having a huge impact on the spread of invasive species in the city. I don't even know if this is possible, but is there any way to include like best practices for the residents of Brantford and like this isn't possible, but almost like it's difficult because you can go purchase so many of these disastrously invasive species from local greenhouses and local growers, and people can go put them in their yards and then it takes off from there. And I'm just wondering if there's any way that we can also at least communicate with the city, the impact of some of those actions and some of those purchases. I know this is probably more of a corporate initiative, but I'm just, if there's any way to communicate at the very least to the residents the dangers of some of these species, I think it would be important to include that in the plan.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, would you like to take a vote? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, sorry. David?
Sorry, I was a little slow on the draw there, trying to unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. Yeah, this is another great initiative. You guys have been really busy. It's nice to see with the invasive species they are everywhere. There's some really great resources out there for the Ontario Invasive Plant Council is just one that comes to mind, and they have a lot of best management practices that are posted to their website. They list a lot of the big names in invasive species, the big plant types. One of them that really comes to mind that's really pervasive, not just in our community, but across Southern Ontario is Phragmites, which is almost that common reed. You see them on highways sometimes, and they do spread quite a lot. So I think they do take planning and they do take some initiative to target them and to eradicate them. So whatever plans that we do come up with, I think we just really need to focus on those best management practices so we're not removing them and taking them away and causing a problem somewhere else, if things like spraying are needed for that species in particular. So I would really encourage looking at those best practices guides. Another thing that would be really great is identification for city staff that are, you know, some photos that show what they are, so they can be identified and, you know, targeted later on. We may not have a plan for it right away, but, you know, just so that they're aware of them and can keep track. Another thought I had on this topic was whether there's an option down the road of almost like a citizen science initiative of if you see them, you know, you can put a form on the website and, you know, identify those things. And, you know, as city staff is doing their regular maintenance, they may identify them in a park or something like that. So they're aware of them anyway. I know informally sometimes they're, you know, people put photos on in Facebook groups of giant hogweed sightings, and dog strangling vine is another one that people tend to see a lot near along our hiking trails. So, you know, it'd be great if people are able to, you know, not only see them and post them for that small group, but, you know, make the city aware as well. So I would encourage those best management practices, the photo identification, and then a way that, you know, individuals, when they see them, that they can let the city know. So, thanks.
Thank you. Counselor?
Just so I can get a feel of the group. Is the group wanting to look at going down the path of bringing this before council to have a bylaw put in place banning the sale of invasive species of plants? Because I'm willing to bring that forward if this is what SPAC wants.
I had put up my hand because that was gonna like almost be a question if that's something that's even possible. Also wondering on that same kind of note, and this may be something that exists, but on the development and engineering side, is there a ban on developers when they're speccing their plants in their private developments? Are they allowed to plant invasive species, or is there a requirement that like there's certain things that they're not allowed to plant? So that was, I had my hand up for those, but I would be interested in that, yeah, personally.
No, that's why I'm thinking like if we do this as a citywide bylaw, then that stops all planting of those invasive species.
Yeah, I agree. Can you want to take a quick vote and see how we feel on that?
People with their hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, okay, we'll do that again. David?
I was just curious if city staff are aware of other municipalities that also already have a bylaws of that to that effect. It'd be good to know if there are other ones out there. But yeah, I'd be interested.
Yeah, I can address some of those questions and comments through the chair if I may. To David's comment, we don't have that research right now, but we can definitely look into it and just do a quick scan of our comparables. I'm not aware of anything to the level of bylaws. However, I do know that cities encourage staying away from invasive planting. The city has a native planting policy already in place that is bylawed. All of our policies are bylawed. So that was put in place in 2022, which does have language in there that says that for all city plantings and for all new plantings going in, that native is always the first thing that's considered. So it doesn't explicitly, to my best recollection, say that you're not allowed to plant invasives, but it does say that preference should always be given first to natives wherever possible. And I know that our parks department does their best to abide by natives only, other than when it's non-natives just for biodiversity. However, we definitely don't plant invasives for any new plantings when we have the option. But if that's something that the committee would like us to do, we can go forward and do that research and then do bring that forward as a report if the committee wishes before we go forward with the amendment to council. But I'm not sure, Councillor Sullivan, if you're okay with that.
I'm completely fine with that, and I'm okay with if other municipalities haven't done it. I don't mind being the first to do it.
Okay. Great. So we can do that next time. Not sure if that needs to be an amendment, Kristen, but we'll take that. No. Okay. So we'll take that back and bring a report forward for April. And then at that time, if that's something that this committee wishes to bring before council, we can do it then.
Okay, good, Eric?
Yeah, just on my side, I was gonna just suggest, I guess as a former Conservation Authority employee in the Toronto region, it was more have you utilize those resources from Grand River folks to maximize those capacities that you have. I think there may be overlapping community initiatives that allow for taking advantage of, constituents wanting to do this type of work already. David's suggestions of some of the best practices, those are there. I'm intrigued by what Councillor Sullivan is suggesting. I think getting it at the point source or the root source in this case, no pun intended, you could definitely get a lot more done if you have something that prevents people from selling them, prevents people from buying them. There's nothing going to stop someone from going out of their way to buy it from another municipality to some extent, but not selling it in your own municipality will mitigate a lot of that. So I'm a big fan of that idea, and confirming if it's in precedent anywhere else, and I can help with that too.
Okay, any other discussion on this topic? So did you want us to? Oh, I'm sorry, another hand up, David?
Yeah, sorry. I think I think the plan should kind of focus on sort of a couple of the issues. Like, one is the existing invasives that are already out there in the environment. Two, the sale of those currently, and just three, making sure that they don't we don't just like take them out and then put them right back. So it's really identification, management, and then future oriented. So I guess those are the three I was going for. In terms of next steps, I think it might be good to have a resolution or something that goes to council, just identifying that SPAC supports the initiatives underway to explore ways to address invasive species, and that we're going to be looking at options to address those. Language to be determined, but sort of in Councillor Sullivan's vein of, if there's ways that we can address things through policy, that would be great.
Through the chair, if I could just respond to that, maybe then, David, to your point, the thing that we do is similar to when the climate emergency was declared, and we work on writing up that resolution at the next SPAC meeting once we present that research to you, and then that then gets forwarded to council and would be the thing that gets voted on after Councillor Sullivan puts it on the agenda for us. Is the committee okay with approaching it similarly to how we did that resolution?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that would end discussion on that. Now, we're running out of time. We're running out of quorum. So I'd like to propose that we take the remaining consent items and move those to the next meeting. If that's okay with everyone.
Is anyone objecting to that? We are losing quorum. Taylor has to leave in 4 minutes, so we'll just move the rest of this to our April meeting. Is that all right?
Okay,
Okay.
so I close the meeting. The meeting is now adjourned. Next meeting is scheduled for April 17th, 2025.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
See you.
Thanks.